AI digital workers are important for fighting fin crime because so much of what happens is bursty by nature. So both in terms of the volumes of things that need to be reviewed can be suddenly much greater than they were the day before or the hour before. Look at what happened with Russian sanctions, for example, at the start of the Ukraine war. Second, it's bursty because there's a lot of routine, mind-numbing work where the answer is there's nothing to see here, but you have to look at it to make sure that that's true, punctuated by sudden finding something suspicious that requires an investigation and action to stop it. And those are things that humans just aren't great at. They don't scale, and they get bored, and they get tunnel vision from the constant looking at routine things. So digital workers can do any kind of volume that develops in a business, no matter how bursty it is, and digital workers can be thorough and relentless and help catch the important things that someone really needs to look at. Digital workers complement the workforce in some really important ways. First of all, they handle routine work so that people don't have to. And by doing so, they allow people to focus on what matters most, where the problems actually are. So financial crime fighting is like looking for a needle in a haystack. And so what digital workers do best of all is reduce the amount of hay dramatically so you can find those needles. So that's the main way in which they complement. Second way in which they complement is they prevent people from having to just pass things because there's just not enough hours in the day and not enough people on staff, so that things can all be investigated instead of just what's practical to do within a period of time. They can reduce the backlog, and they can free people up to work in other teams that are going to be able to use their skills for higher level and more interesting work than the routine processing of investigations and KYC and sanction screening. Isaac has been built in order to do transaction monitoring and other kinds of activity monitoring, to be able to gather information, to calculate metrics for the kinds of things that you ordinarily would look at manually in a BI report, to be able to enrich information, to be able to make decisions, to look for anomalies, to look for differences between expectations and actual behavior, the historical behavior for a customer versus their current behavior, or how a customer looks or a transaction looks, compared to look-alike in the same market segment. And then market segment can be based on company size or location or industry that they're in, for example. So these kinds of statistical, tool sets also allow us to understand what transactions are suspicious and need greater scrutiny, or what customers' activity needs greater scrutiny. So having the capability of analyzing this information, having sophisticated rules that can be used to dispose of these things or escalate these things according to your specific concerns, your historical experiences, your standards and practices, these are all now possible with Isaac, which is a very powerful capability for transaction monitoring, activity monitoring, and as we go on, for fraud monitoring. Good for closing loopholes, good for preventing manual review, which does not scale, and doing all of the kind of curation of the information that an investigator needs in order to separate the noise from the signal, and when looking at the ones that are signal, being able to do it extremely efficiently.